Welcome to our countdown of the top 10 most magical yet super annoying neighbors you could have in an alternative dimension. Imagine the delight of trying to sleep with zombie groans next door or having gnomes suddenly come to life in your garden. So grab your popcorn, sit back, and prepare for a wild ride through a neighborhood that's anything but ordinary. Ready to dive in? Let's get started. Let's kick things off with the noisy necromancer. Imagine this, you're just about to drift off into a blissful sleep when suddenly you hear it. The unmistakable groans of zombies rising from the dead. Every night, like clockwork, the moaning starts, and don't even get me started on the smell. You might wake up one morning to find a decaying hand reaching through your mail slot or a zombie casually chilling on your front lawn. So next time you're tempted to complain about your noisy neighbors, just remember, at least they're not raising the dead. Next up, we have the prankster pixie. This little troublemaker is a master of mischief, delighting in turning your life upside down with their endless pranks. You wake up in the morning to find your shoes glued to the ceiling. You open your fridge to grab some milk only to find it's been turned into jelly. The prankster pixie is always one step ahead, always watching, always waiting for the perfect moment to strike. So, if you ever find yourself wishing for a little more excitement in your life, just remember, be careful what you wish for. Ah, the overly friendly fairy. This neighbor just can't take a hint. They're always there, always wanting to chat, always inviting themselves over for tea. Every time you step outside, there they are, fluttering around with their sparkly wings and their endless stream of conversation. You just want to scream, "Give me some space," but you know it would break their little fairy heart. So next time you're feeling lonely, just remember, there's such a thing as too much company. Now let's talk about the spell-casting sorcerer. This enigmatic figure is a master of the arcane arts, wielding powers that can bend reality itself. With a flick of their wrist and a few muttered incantations, they can summon storms, conjure creatures, and even alter the fabric of time. However, this neighbor loves to experiment with magic, and unfortunately for you, their spells often go awry. Their enthusiasm for pushing the boundaries of magic means that things don't always go as planned. You might witness a spell intended to water the garden, instead summoning a torrential downpour that floods the entire street. One day, you might wake up to find your garden gnomes have come to life and are now demanding a salary. These once innocent decorations now march around with tiny picket signs, chanting for better working conditions and fair pay. It's both amusing and slightly terrifying. Or worse, your pet cat has been transformed into a fire-breathing dragon. Imagine the shock of seeing your beloved feline now, towering over the house, scales glistening and nostrils flaring with every breath. The neighborhood will never be the same again. You've tried talking to the sorcerer about the chaos they're causing, but they're always so wrapped up in their own world. Their mind is constantly buzzing with new spells and magical theories, leaving little room for mundane concerns like neighborhood peace and quiet. So if you ever find yourself wishing for a little magic in your life, just remember, sometimes a little magic can be a big headache. While the idea of living next to a sorcerer might seem enchanting at first, the reality is often far more complicated. Magic has a way of making the ordinary extraordinary, but it also brings its own set of challenges and unexpected surprises. Be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it and a whole lot more. Ever wondered what it's like to live in different eras every other day? Imagine waking up to the sound of horse-drawn carriages one morning and the hum of flying cars the next. Welcome to life next door to the time-traveling troublemaker. This eccentric neighbor has a knack for turning the mundane into the extraordinary. One day, your street looks like a scene from the 1800s, complete with cobblestone roads and gas lamps flickering in the twilight. And the next, it's straight out of a futuristic sci-fi movie with neon lights and towering skyscrapers that seem to touch the sky. You never know what era you're going to wake up in. It's like living in a time machine that's constantly on the fritz. You've had to explain to your mailman why there's a velociraptor in your yard, a relic from the Jurassic period that somehow seems to enjoy the modern suburban life. Or why there's a spaceship parked on your roof, a sleek metallic marvel that looks like it's straight out of a science fiction novel. And let's not even get started on the time they brought back a plague doctor who insisted on diagnosing everyone in the neighborhood. His eerie mask and archaic medical tools caused quite a stir. So if you ever find yourself wishing for a little more variety in your life, just think about the chaos and excitement that comes with living next to a time traveler. Consistency has its perks. There's something to be said for knowing what to expect each day, for the comfort of routine and the predictability of a stable environment. But every now and then, a little unpredictability can be a welcome change. It keeps life interesting, adds a dash of excitement, and makes for some unforgettable stories. After all, how many people can say they've had tea with a Victorian lady, dodged a dinosaur, and seen a spaceship all in the same week? Living next to the time-traveling troublemaker is a unique adventure, one that brings the past, present, and future right to your doorstep. So embrace the unexpected, cherish the moments of wonder, and remember that sometimes the best stories come from the most unpredictable places. Next on our list is the shape-shifting shapeshifter. This enigmatic neighbor is unlike any other, possessing a truly extraordinary ability that sets them apart from the rest. This neighbor has a unique talent for transforming into anything or anyone they want. Imagine the possibilities. They can seamlessly blend into any environment, taking on the appearance of a friend, a stranger, or even an inanimate object. Sounds cool, right? Well, not when you're constantly second-guessing if the person you're talking to is actually your neighbor or just a cleverly disguised pet. It can be quite disconcerting, to say the least. You might find yourself questioning every interaction, wondering if the person in front of you is who they claim to be. You might be having a pleasant conversation with what you think is your neighbor, only to realize it's actually their cat who has taken on human form. The realization can be quite jarring, leaving you feeling a mix of amusement and bewilderment. It's a constant game of guess who, where the stakes are always high. Or worse, you invite what you think is your neighbor over for dinner, and halfway through the meal they turn into a giant snake. The shock and horror of such a transformation can leave you speechless, questioning the very nature of reality. It's a dinner party you'll never forget for all the wrong reasons. So if you ever find yourself wishing for a little more excitement, just remember, sometimes a little predictability can be a good thing. While the allure of the unknown can be tempting, there's a certain comfort in knowing that the people around you are exactly who they appear to be. Embrace the ordinary, for it is in the mundane that we often find true peace and stability. In a world full of shapeshifters and magical beings, it's the simple, predictable moments that ground us. Cherish those moments and appreciate the neighbors who remain steadfast and true. After all, in a community where anyone can be anything, it's the constants that truly matter. Moving on to the potion brewing witch, this neighbor's home always smells like a concoction of herbs, spices, and who knows what else brewing in their cauldron. One day it smells like lavender and chamomile. Quite pleasant, actually, but the next day it's something that can only be described as a mix between rotten eggs and skunk. The witch's potions have a tendency to explode, sending colourful sticky goo flying everywhere. So, if you ever find yourself wishing for a bit of magic in your life, just remember, sometimes magic comes with a price. Now let's talk about the teleporting trickster. This neighbour has the annoying habit of popping up in your living room unannounced. One moment you're enjoying a quiet evening, and the next they're sitting on your couch, munching on your popcorn. The trickster loves to teleport into the most unexpected places, and they have no sense of personal space. You've found them in your kitchen, your bathroom, even your bedroom. So, if you ever find yourself wishing for a little more excitement, just remember, sometimes a little predictability can be a good thing. Next, we have the mind-reading meddler. This neighbor knows your thoughts and isn't shy about commenting on them constantly. You might be thinking about what to have for dinner, and suddenly the meddler pops up and says, "Pizza sounds good, but you had that last night." The meddler loves to give unsolicited advice, and they're always right. You can't even have a private thought without them butting in. So if you ever find yourself wishing for a little more insight, just remember, sometimes ignorance really is bliss. Finally, we have the invisible invader. This neighbor has the unnerving ability to turn invisible at will. You never know if they're there or not, and that uncertainty can drive you crazy. The invader loves to mess with your mind. They'll move objects around, hide your belongings, and generally make you question your sanity. So, if you ever find yourself wishing for a little more excitement, just remember, Sometimes a little peace and quiet can be a good thing. Thanks for joining us on this magical yet maddening journey through the top 10 most annoying neighbors in an alternative dimension. From the noisy necromancer to the invisible invader, we've seen it all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments which neighbor you think would be the worst. Until next time, stay magical and try to keep your sanity intact.